Yeah, and speaking of that, that's another fundamental that I've heard you talk about a lot that you seem to have a good knack for is kind of that culture building and spotting good people. Could you talk a little bit about that and maybe some of the things you look for? Because you've talked about a couple of different instances where you saw something in someone and offered them to for a placement with maybe like the Bull Connect, and people didn't see what you saw, and then it turns out that they did have those things innate in their ability. So talk to me a little bit about what you look for in someone who is a good manager, because that's such an integral part of a good center is a good manager, that leadership.
Right, exactly. And I'm a believer, obviously, being an operations manager myself for many years. When I worked for independents and I worked for chains, and the last thing anybody wants is somebody looking over their shoulder all the time,
Right.
right? And questioning everything you do.
Yeah.
Most people have a method to their madness. And if they don't, you'll see the weakness pretty quickly,
Yeah.
right? And it's still a people business. So the thing that we look for and I look for is that person that has that personality and has the passion to be successful and love what they do. And I have a gentleman that works for me, and I was hired on by this bowling center to help them get it turned around and find a manager. They hired me in as a management company, and I was there for about 2, 3 weeks, and I just kept watching. And I was watching that all the customers were going to the guy at the counter. Them.
Hmm.
The managers would be in the building, the owners would be in the building, and they would go to him. And I'm like, well, that's the dude right there, man. The bowlers like him, the bowlers
Yeah.
trust him. And so I told that group that I said, your manager's right here. It's in the building. And I told them who it was, and they didn't believe me, but they trusted me enough to promote him, and
Hmm.
he became the general manager, and things started turning around because he understood
Hmm.
what that clientele base was, what they were looking for. He understood it.
Hmm.
And he was working the desk, so he knew the open play bowlers, he knew the league bowlers. And to this day, I was fortunate enough when we bought a bowling center in the area that he lived and that he was available. So he helped us open up Gainesville Bowling Center in Georgia, and he was general manager when we opened, and going on our third year, he's still the general manager, and the numbers keep going up, and he does a great job. So,
Yeah.
and he applied for other center positions with larger companies. He was actually in the AMF system for a while,
Mm.
and he applied at other groups and people. And some people have this idea of what somebody should be and what they should look like and how they should act. Well,
Right.
again, there's something to be said for that. And I was lucky that I found Cheyenne, and we became friends, and now working for me. And same thing, we have a young lady that worked at our center in South Carolina from the day it opened. And when I took over that center, I asked about people, and she wasn't even on their radar.
Hmm.
Not even on their radar. She's been here, and but then when I got there, I saw that she knew how to do everything in the building,
Right.
from expoing and cooking to running food and working the counter and doing the arcade. And so I made her our arcade manager, and she got some more confidence, and she showed me that she could lead and she could do what needed to be done. And we just kept moving her up the ranks. And she's now been our general manager in Bluffton for the last 2.5 years. And we just keep beating prior year's numbers every year, just go. So I, I think sometimes we overlook what's right there in front of us, and that's been our
Right.
focus as we continue to have plans to grow. We're trying to train from within, and we feel we have 2 or 3 really good candidates in our system right now that if we were to buy another center, that we would be very confident in offering them that position.
Hmm.
So yeah, trying to build that culture to find your next replacement within your system, and to trust your general managers to do the job. I mean, so many bowling centers want to hire a manager, and then they don't even share the financials with them. They don't let them
Yeah.
know if they're doing good or
Right.
bad, or how do we expect someone to be successful if we don't give them the resources to be successful?
Right.
So I think that's why you're better off watching and seeing how your people react and work with them, and try to build a positive culture. And all of our managers at our centers get to see each other's numbers. I want that manager that's in fourth place to have the passion to not be in fourth place anymore. Right. I want them to know what they have to be. And never do we ever, geez, you're still on the bottom. No, what's wrong? Give them the encouragement and take the little steps to continue to improve and give them more resources and revenue streams and let them have the same resources as the guy that's in first place. And that's important too. You have to take risks in this business, and I'm very fortunate to work for an ownership group that understands that. It's not afraid to reinvest. Always makes your job easier when you can always get the best that's out there and put the newest scoring and upgrade things when they need to be upgraded. So we're at a very good position right now, but that's sort of what I try to look for. And I've been really lucky to have some people within. And the last thing too for us, I think is very important that we forget to do, and I was guilty of this when I owned my own centers. I didn't send my managers to anything. I went.
Yeah, right.
So they need to be educated too. So if you can ever work it out to go to a state or a regional trade show, and I know there's not that many left anymore, but try to get them there. I know we've got a couple of our people in the Carolinas, Georgia show was just these last couple of days, and we sent a couple people there. And
don't forget Bowling University too.
Yeah, exactly. Bowling University, Bowl Expo. There's great education in Bowl Expo. And then they get to meet a lot of people in the industry. And I think that's important. I mean, what I do in this industry is all based on the 40 years of getting to know people, right? And you and I've had this talk. I mean, it's networking, right?
Right.
You've got to network. This is a very small industry, so it's not that difficult. When you have a conversation with somebody, after about 5 minutes, pretty easy to find that you have a mutual acquaintance in this business.
Right. Hey, did you like this video? Great. We make 10 of them a week. Subscribe to learn more and keep learning about what's working in the industry. Talk to you then.